Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of my series, The Road to 1600 on the SAT. So I'm going to be telling you guys what I did. This is day one, so this is the first day. So basically, I did some research on how to get a 1600, right? And a lot of the thing is that you have to take a lot of different practice tests. So I managed to do, I found some practice tests on college, so if you've never taken the SAT before, there's a program called Blue Book, and that's where you take the official SAT. So Blue Book actually offers 8 different practice tests, and they're partnered with the College Board themselves. So you guys should definitely look into that for your practice test. So yeah, they have a lot of different practice tests. As I said, they have 8, and these practice tests, they're basically mirroring the actual SAT almost exactly, but obviously they're different questions than what you're going to see on your test day. But the style of the questions and everything like that's all very similar. So I just want to go over what I gained from taking the practice test. So basically, the practice test for me was it helped me understand where I stood on the SAT itself. So after you take the practice test, it shows you everything you got wrong, everything you got right. It also gives you a score, let's say 1450, 1500, an SAT style score. It tells you exactly what you would have gotten if this was your SAT, which is really nice because it gives you understanding of where you might stand as of right now. So I took the practice tests and it showed me everything I got wrong as well as what I got right. And also they have this new thing where it tells you the specific content area which you got incorrect or correct in, and it shows you how proficient you are in that content area. And for me personally, this was very helpful because this it allowed me to identify what I should focus more on in my studying and what I should not focus much on in my studying. Because by knowing this, you can it gives you an understanding of what you really need to study in order to maximize your time and your productivity, right? Because if you go on and study for, let's say, 10 hours, right, in a week, and you're studying everything from the book A to Z, right? So I feel personally, that's not that productive because you might already know a lot of things you're studying, so you're kind of wasting your time. So first thing I recommend doing is taking a practice SAT, because this will in turn allow you to have a good idea of where you stand and what exactly you're weak in as well as what you're strong in, right? Second thing or third thing I recommend doing, create a notes page. It could be a Google Doc, notes on your phone, whatever. Create a notes page and make it very organized. Put your SAT test date on the top of the page so you constantly remember when your test date is and you know how you were doing in relation to that test date, if you're prepared or not at the current pace you're going. So create a notes page, and in that notes page, separate it into reading and writing and math, right? And so as I said before, it shows you the exact specific topics and content areas in each of the things after you take the practice test. So take the practice test, see the different content areas. There's 4 in reading and writing, and there's 4 in math, I believe. So create those different categories as well. Then, on the same Blue Book / College Board application, right after the practice test, when you're viewing your results, there's an option that says practice with similar questions or something like that, right? So what that basically is for the specific content area. So as I said, it shows exactly, for example, in reading and writing, there's a area called content and structure, right? So it will tell you how well you're doing in that area in specific. So in this, after you take the practice SAT, there's going to be an option called practice with similar questions. So what you want to do is you click on that, and that will basically tell you exactly what content area the question is from. So what I want you to do then is to go through each of the questions, answer them, and it shows you the answer after you answer them. answer them and say, and because there's 10 per category. There's 40 questions for ELA, 40 for math, I believe, and there's 4 categories ELA, 4 categories math. So it tells you you can write out of 10 how many you got right and how much you got wrong. And if you do get it wrong, then it shows you specific explanation of why you got it wrong and what the correct answer is. So I recommend also putting that on your notes so you can remind yourself why you got this wrong and what the correct answer is and how you get to that correct answer. Another thing I recommend doing, after the practice test, it shows you every single question and every single thing that you got wrong. I know it sounds tedious and lengthy, but go through each and every question that you got wrong and read the paragraph explanation that they provide after every single question. Because if there's a specific question that you got wrong, you have to identify whether it was like a simple mistake that you can correct in like a second, or if it was a content mistake. If it was a content mistake, then what you have to do is actually study that content. Okay, another thing that's very helpful in this whole SAT studying process. So Khan Academy has basically partnered up with College Board, and they offer free SAT help, right? SAT tutoring. So even after you take the practice test, there'll be options on the page following with your results and everything like that. It'll say practice on Khan Academy. So if you go to practice on Khan Academy, they'll take you to their digital SAT prep course that has reading and writing and math. It teaches you each specific content category. It tells you how to get these questions right, what to do to get these questions right, and it has a lot of different practice questions that you can practice those 8 specific content skills from these Khan Academy, right? Because as I said, there's 4 specific content categories in reading and writing, and there's 4 in math. So after you do this, there's a lot of other resources on Khan Academy for SAT, because as I said, they have a whole course, right? So in this course, it's really helpful and really useful if you go through each and every one of them. But identify first, before you do this, go into each and every one, identify what you are lacking and what you're good at, right? So whatever you're lacking, depending on how much time you have before the SAT, you have to prioritize yourself in a way that you can maximize your score, right? Because for example, if there's a math concept that you are not too clear about, right, but you know it somewhat, and there's a math concept that you do not know at all, right? If you have 2-3 months before the SAT, yes, review both of the concepts, get a good grasp, get a good understanding, try to maximize that score, correct? But if you are on a time crunch, right, you have 2-3 weeks, then I would suggest try to get as many points as you can, because with that one concept that you're somewhat sure on, you have a better chance of getting that question right than the question that you have no idea about, right? So I mean, it's common sense, but sometimes when you're studying for the SAT and other big exams like this, you kind of forget common sense, right? So you want to prioritize yourself in that way, and you have to, and this goes back to what I said earlier about putting the test date on the top of the notes page, because this will then in turn allow you to have a mental map, like a mental mind map or whatever, about when you need to accomplish what goals, right? When you need to learn this concept, by when do you need to do this, by when do you do that, right? That's another thing. Another thing I recommend, but it's not mandatory, because I don't recommend this book yet, but it's something that I have gotten because I'm also just starting my SAT journey as well, right? But I've done a lot of research and I found out that the College Board offers a book on Amazon, and it's Digital SAT Prep 2024 or 2025, and it's by College Board themselves. So I got one of those books, and I recommend that you guys do too. I can't promote it yet because I don't know if it's going to be that helpful, but it's just an extra resource. As I said, once you know what content categories you're weak in, you can go, there's a lot of different resources. Like I said, okay, for example, you're weak in algebra, right? That's one major content category in the math section. There's Khan Academy. There's a whole course in Khan Academy for the SAT. So you go through that, you identify the problem that you're having with this concept, and you figure it out and you learn the concept. If that doesn't do it for you, You have another resource, the book, the College Board book, right? If that doesn't do it for you, Blue Book, practice tests, practice answers, all of those things. There's a lot of resources that you can find online, and since this digital SAT is new to everyone, there's a lot of different practice tests, practice questions, examples, problems, everything. You can find whatever you need by a quick Google search, right? So basically the summary of this video, right? Create a notes. Okay, first thing you do before taking the SAT or like starting to study for SAT, take the practice test. Trust me on this, I've done my research. You need to take the practice test, right? This gives you a baseline understanding of where you are and where you need to be. Second, create a notes page of any sort. Identify your goal, identify when you need to meet that goal, and break down the SAT into those 8 categories I talked about, 4 in either reading and writing and 4 in math. Once you identify those topics, study the ones that you're the weakest in and continue building on this habit of mastering those concepts, understanding those concepts, creating a deeper learning within those concepts, right? And then lastly, a habit that I want you guys to make is, there's 8 practice tests on Blue Book. Say, for example, I'm taking my test in 2 months, right? That's approximately 8 weeks, right? So what I would prefer and what I would aim to do is take 1 practice test every Sunday, right? Or every week. So this way you'll know if you're making any progress towards your goal or not. If you're not, there's something wrong with the way you're studying and you need to switch it up. So yeah, that's it for today, guys, and happy studying.